Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing okay and are able to enjoy the end of spring and early summer. Today I want to talk about a topic that is quite uncomfortable for me because it involves admitting my faults and addressing one lie that expanded over the past 6 years now. And that is the situation of me quote-unquote lying about my age online, making my teen self appear older than I actually was. And I already see you being worried, but no, fortunately there's no real drama involved. I didn't abuse this to gain access to parts or communities of the internet where I didn't belong as a minor. I did it to seemingly protect my art and other artists, but before we get into that, let's get things straight. At the point of writing the script and recording the audio, I am 18 years old, turning 19 on the 29th of May. I don't know when I will publish this video, so maybe my birthday has already passed. It's very likely to be the case, I cannot tell yet. However, let's clear things up. I am so sorry to everyone who I made to believe that I am already in my 20s or even older by not concluding any closer information about my age when asked, or only giving blurry information or information that is open to interpretation. I am very sorry to everyone whose boundaries I broke with not being honest about being a minor when I still was. I should have been clear and honest about that, but I wasn't, and that is not okay. Even though it's been some years since I have been actively vague about my age, damage was and is done to everyone I didn't inform about the truth. I'm sorry, and I hope you are able to forgive me for that. I was young and dumb and I didn't see the potential problems behind that. While that doesn't excuse anything, I have learned, and now, being considered an adult myself, I see and especially feel why you shouldn't be vague or unclear about your age as a young teen. I used to honestly think that not telling my age to other artists, especially since I was so young, was a morally right thing to do. And before I get into why I was so convinced about that, let's travel back in time into 2017, the year I decided to post my art online on Instagram. Here in Germany, online awareness for young teens has always been very important to a lot of schools, and my parents always tried to educate me as best as they could on internet usage, which is why they allowed me to post my art on social media without being afraid of me running into dangers like predators straight away. Being a child that has attended some of those online awareness events and education programs, I had some basic rules embossed into my brain. Besides the classic don't tell your address and phone number, I also pretty much held onto the whole thing about never showing your face and the don't tell your age thing, so much so that I still feel weird when I post a picture of myself on my private accounts or even tell someone that I'm turning 19 this year. Besides being a child that followed these rules religiously, no one ever really bat an eye because my overall circumstances made it seem that I was way older than I actually was at that time. The first one being that my English was always quite advanced for my age because I grew up bilingual with a lot of friends that stemmed from American or British immigrants. Additionally, I started to form an obsession with translating any English songs I listened to with my little dictionary from what I heard in the songs, because I didn't know what lyric videos were when I was 11 or something, which already made me gain a lot of diverse vocab that young children usually wouldn't and shouldn't have. Furthermore, we have the German education system that's quite obscure to especially Americans, since you can basically go to high school directly after elementary school at age 11 or 10, or you can go to middle school and then step up from that to a high school/college hybrid, meaning that you take college classes in high school and get a degree that is like advanced A-levels or a basic college degree in the subject you choose. And in those classes there are students from age 16 to 25, but it doesn't really matter, that's already getting too confusing. What I want to say is that whenever someone asked me in terms of my education and what I was doing beside art, I responded with that I'm going to college and am about to graduate in nutritional science. Everyone would expect me to be 18 or up, when in reality I just turned 16, and who's gonna blame them? So due to that, people stopped asking me about my age because they just assume I was an adult, and I never thought about that and just went by that. With those circumstances, nobody questioned anything. However, there's even more to it. Like I mentioned before, the actual intention behind being vague about my age was the protection of other artists. And you'll be thinking, that doesn't make any tiny bit of sense. But listen. Being 13 and exploring the depth of the Instagram art community, you would stumble across at least one of those generic realistic pencil or graphite drawings of lions, strawberries, or Billie Eilish for some reason, with the caption saying something along those lines. Oh my god, that artist is only 12, or I made this when I was 11, or something similar. I was curious to make some art friends that were the same age as me and also interested in realism. Back then I was still drawing realism before switching to manga and then developing from there. So I also started to read comments below those posts. And those comments were what influenced me to be silent about my age until basically now. In the comments were dozens adult artists grieving their lack of skill, voicing how they don't see a point in continuing their art anymore because if a 13-year-old can create this realistic artwork and has such advanced skill, why should they even bother? And for some reason, my art always attracted an older audience, and I knew that a lot of artists that were double the age of me were interacting with my art. It's still somewhat shown in my statistics today, even though it shifted because we all age, but you can still guess. Reading these comments of discouraged artists, knowing I also have a very mature community and being a quite skilled artist, I was scared that I could be the reason that someone else quits. So my 13-year-old me decided to never talk about my age in relation to my art. Over the years, I received comments from artists that were inspired by me and told me that they looked up to my skills in especially watercolors. Well, that made me extremely grateful. It also furthermore pushed that fear of turning their excitement to learn into self-doubt and discouragement. Ageism in art is a very severe issue. We all were affected at some point in our artistic journeys, whether or not we are standing at the young side of the spectrum or on the aged and matured side. We don't measure skill in relation to the time put into honing and defining that skill, but in relation to the age, regardless of how many years someone spent with their craft. This apparently makes the art of a 16-year-old artist that spent the last 3 years practicing more inspiring and valuable than the art from a 60-year-old artist of equal skill that did the exact same thing. I do assume that this is due to the overall hustle culture on social media and capitalistic ideas, because time is money and that 16-year-old artist has more left of it. They can spend the rest of their life working on said skill and potentially building a business off of it, so it's more impressive to the general audience than this 60-year-old artist probably won't be able to do much out of it. As dumb as that is, it's sadly the way our society works. The longer a person can get better at something, the more valuable they are in an economic viewpoint, because they can also longer stay active in the field they're good at, which means they can generate more profit. That's why young quote-unquote talents are so exciting to most of people and discouraging to a lot of others. Especially in creative fields like art, this whole mentality is very toxic, and I don't even know how to correctly put it in words, but I believe any artist knows what I'm trying to address. You know, it's not only the older population amongst artists that is affected negatively by this, but also the younger artists that are subconsciously put under pressure to constantly improve as fast as possible so they can keep up with others. Because being less than them implies that oneself isn't good enough to pursue their dreams of becoming a full-time artist or getting a job in the art industry. I just think we should stop putting art in relation to the artist's age this much, as tempting as it is to weigh the skill they have. But in the end, doing it this intensely is harming everyone. We already have such massive issues with comparing ourselves in this society and the art community especially. Art shouldn't be so focused about age and skill. It shouldn't divide us over that. Art should be fun. It should communicate. It should bring us together regardless of skill. In my opinion, being able to create art is one of the highest skills in itself that we as human beings have. So I think we shouldn't limit and restrict ourselves or feel like we aren't able to create because we're too old or don't have the resources to improve as fast as others. That became a little more intense to what I intended originally, so I hope it's still understandable to what I want to say. Maybe by telling my age in the beginning I made this whole issue worse, because now you're putting my age in relation to the art I make. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm sorry this became a little ranty, but I still hope you can understand why I held so long onto the belief that telling my age would only ever cause harm, but I now understand that taking it to the degree I did wasn't exactly the best either. Once again, I am sorry to everyone I made uncomfortable with that. However, I hope you had some fun with this video and could take something from it. Do you have similar experiences with ageism in art? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you liked this video and want to support me, you know what I'm going to say. Don't forget to like and click the subscribe button. See you soon in my next video. Stay safe and stay hydrated.